So we'll start our discussion on part 5, which is queues. The agenda, as you can see it on the screen. First, we'll go with the introduction to queues, where we'll discuss the definition of queues and are there any terminologies that are related to queues. Everything will be discussed, and later we'll discuss the operations on queues. As that of stacks, we also have some operations on queues that we'll discuss clearly, and we'll take some examples where these type of question patterns can be asked in the gate examination point, right? So we'll go for the algorithm analysis. As I told that I don't want to stress more on the algorithm analysis as this is not under our syllabus part, right? And coming to after that, we'll discuss these applications of queues. Remember, students, that application of stacks is very important concept, and the application of queues is not that much important. Why I'm saying this is you will find very few questions, almost nil questions from the previous examinations, gate examinations, where you will find the applications of these queues, very less questions, right? So coming to implementation of queues, and then implementation of queues using arrays, how we will do, and how the circular queues are represented. This is one of the important part, circular queues. And after that, we'll go for the discussion on double-ended queues. Double-ended queues is also a theoretical part, and as I told that in GATE, you won't find any big questions on programs. They won't ask you to write some program, or they won't ask you some coding part like that, right? But there are very few questions like coding part will be asked in few topics like linked list, and that too you will be asked very straightforward questions on the singly linked list only. No complex linked list concept like circular linked list, double linked list, circularly double linked list. All these concepts are not being stressed much in the GATE examinations. Only the coding part you will find in the singly linked list part only, right? After that, double-ended queues, we will discuss the theoretical part of double-ended queues. And the last topic which I am going to discuss, the implementation of queues using stacks, is one important area in these queues. So we find a few questions on this implementation of queue using stacks or implementation of stacks using queues, like that. So I will be discussing the implementation of queues using stacks. We won't go for the programming part. We'll just discuss the theoretical part, how you can implement a queue using stacks. The last topic is important for you, and the important topics are coming to the basic introduction part. This is important. Operations of queues is important, and this is important. And you should remember this algorithm analysis. That is quite simple thing. And applications on queues is not that important, right? And implementation of queues using arrays, you should know the some coding part, the conditions to check the full queue or empty queue, like that. And circular queue is important. Here you may be asked questions like what is the condition for a queue or for a circular queue to identify it as a full circular queue, right? Or else, what is the condition for a empty circular queue? What is the condition for a full circular queue? All these questions may be asked from the circular queues, and this is the theoretical part. Maybe you don't get any questions, but theoretically it is important. So this particular point is discussed, and the last one is very important. That is, how do we implement queues using stacks, right? So don't assume that the direct question from the implementation of queues using stacks that is discussed in this particular class or particular sessions will be asked directly. As I told that there are very few direct questions, and you will be tested on the day of examination. The GATE examination is entirely to test the application orientation of the students, right? So these type of questions like queue using stacks type of questions will be given to you, and you have to apply your concepts. You have to apply your mind and you have to solve those questions, right? So that is all about the introduction to queues, where what we study in these particular sessions. I made it clear, right? And coming to the first part, that is introduction to queues. I say that the queues are closely related to stacks. Why? Because they both come under the category of linear data structure. That means insertion and deletion of the elements will be done in a sequential fashion. That is the other part of the definition. But they are closely related to stacks, but the way they operate is something different, right? So as you look at the definition of the stack is nothing but a linear data structure where insertions and deletions will take place from only one end, which we call it as the top end. But when you come to the definition of these queues, a queue is a linear data structure where the elements will be inserted at one end and the deletions will take place at the other end, which we call it as front end, right? So here is the definition of queues. We add items into the queue, that is nothing but insertion of elements into the queue at one part, which is called as read part. Okay, we can also call it as last also. Okay, the choice is given to the programmer. You can use any identifier name, not an issue, right? And similarly, accessing and removing the elements will be done from one end of the queue, that is called as front. So if you use the terminology rare, you have to use it as front. Similarly, there is other name for front which is called as first. So first and last are something like they have to be a pair of words. First, last are front and rear. So you can use any word of your choice, but the pair should not be missed, right? If you use front terminology, you have to use the rear only, and if you use the first terminology, you have to use the last only, right? So a queue is a linear data structure where the elements are inserted at one end, which we call it as the rear part of the queue, and we delete the elements or we access the elements from one end or the other end, which we call it as the front part of the queue, or it is also called as first, right? And one more important thing is the queues are also called as first in first out data structure. That means the first inserted element will be the first outputted element, or it is also called as LILO, last in last out. That means the last inserted element will be the last outputted element. This we will look at with an example while we go into the actual operations part, right? So that is all about the introduction to queues. We have just discussed the definition of queues and the other names for queues also we have discussed. So this is an example how a queue operates in a first in first out manner, right? Instead of going in a vertical fashion, as I told that the queues can also be, as I told in the stacks concept, that stacks can be implemented either by using arrays or by using linked lists, right? Similarly, the queues can also be implemented by using arrays or linked lists. So as you know that an array is nothing but a collection of elements of similar data type, and we are accustomed for this practice of representing the arrays in a horizontal fashion and dividing this into number of elements. But in stacks, while you represent the stacks pictorially, it is a convention or it is more convenient that we represent it in a vertical fashion. This also I have discussed in the earlier class, right? But while coming to queues, you represent it in the horizontal fashion only, so that it will be very convenient for you. Even you represent in this fashion like vertical fashion, it's not at all a problem, but you represent it in the horizontal fashion such that you won't get confused, right? So in the first part, you have to take an array of size, some predefined size, like int a. It is q now, right? We'll change the name of the array as q. You'll make it as max. Int q of max, where you have defined a preprocessor directive hash defined the size of max is some 5, right? So whatever the max is there, that is replaced with the 5. That is the meaning of this preprocessor definition, right? So int q of max, that means it is equivalent to int q of 5. Therefore, whenever the compiler comes across this statement, it will come to know that the user is trying to declare an array q of size 5, that means 5 integer elements. So it will try to allocate the memory. The memory allocated is equivalent to 5 elements into, since each element is of integer data type, one integer occupies 4 bytes. Therefore, 5 integers occupies 4 into 5 into 4, that is 20 bytes of memory is allocated. This is clear, and you are very well aware of this concept, right? So after this, what happens is, in the memory will be allocated by the compiler. Assume that the base address is 100 and the array indexing starts with 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. You forget about this. One minute. So this is allocated, right? And in the second part, in stacks, you have taken the second point as declaring a variable called top. Why? Because both the insertions and deletions takes place from one end, which is called as the top of the stack. But in queues, insertion will be done at one part, which is called as rear. We represent it with R, and deletions always takes place from front, which we represent it as F. So what we'll do is, we'll initialize both F and rear to -1 at the initial step. So both R and F are pointing to -1, some location before the 0th one, right? So if you go for an insert operation, inserting an element into the queue, right? For example, I want to insert this A. So insertion operation consists of two steps, that is incrementing a pointer and then assigning the value. But remember that if it is a first element, if the queue is empty and if it is a first element, that means both rear and front are pointing to -1. If it is a first element, what you have to do is, you have to make, or you have to increment both and rear. If it is the first element, if it is first element, increment both rear and front. R plus plus you have to perform, and similarly F plus plus should be performed, right? So after incrementing R, initially the R value is -1, therefore it becomes 0, and similarly F is also pointing to -1, and now after incrementing it is initialized to its value is 0, right? So both rear and front are pointing to this location, which is nothing but q of 0. And as a second part, what you have to do, you have to assign that element q of rear is equal to element. What is the element here? It is nothing but a. Therefore element is equal to alphabet a. So what is q of r? What is r? It is nothing but 0. Therefore q of 0 is equal to element, which is a. Therefore at this location the value a is placed, right? Now you go to the second part. I want to insert one more element in the queue. Let that element be b, right? Let me erase it. Now in the second step, I want to insert an element B. Therefore, element is equal to the alphabet B, right? What you have to do? From the second element onwards, if it is the first element, you have to increment both rear and front such that both rear and front will point to 0, and then you insert at the rear position. But already A is present. This is not an empty queue. Therefore, in such situation, what you have to do is you have to insert the element at the rear part only. Therefore, you have to increment the rear pointer only. There is no need to increment the front pointer. We'll see when to increment the front pointer. Okay, but right now, if the queue is not empty, or if the elements are already present in the queue, whenever you want to insert an element in the queue, you just increment the rear pointer. Already rear is pointing to 0. If you increment where it will point, the rear value becomes 1. Therefore, the rear will be pointing to this location. Which location? That is nothing but first location here. Now the second point remains the same. The second point is Q of rear is equal to ELE. That means Q of, what is the value of rear? 1. 1 is equal to B. Right? So B is inserted at Q of. Now you insert one more element called C. You insert one more element called C. Same thing happens, right? You increment the rear. Why? Because the queue is not empty. You increment just the rear pointer such that the rear is pointing to second location. Second location means you remove this and the rear is pointing to this location now. And Q of rear is equal to ELE. Therefore, instead of this one, it is Q of 2 is equal to C. Right? So C is inserted. Like that. For example, you insert D. What happens? You increment rear. You increment rear such that it points to this location, and Q of rear, that is Q of 3 is equal to D. Right? You insert one more element like E. So to insert one more element, you increment the pointer rear and such that it points to 4, and you assign that Q of rear is equal to E, which is nothing but Q of 4 is equal to E. You can observe that at this particular point the queue is full, right? So if the queue is full, what is the condition for a queue full condition? For example, if you want to identify that the queue is full, the simple condition is rear should point to 4. Rear is equal to 4. That means the rear value should be 4. What is this for? In the previous declarations, we have made a definition called max as 5, right? So 4 is nothing but max minus 1, right? Therefore, if rear is equal to max minus 1, if rear is equal to max minus 1, then the queue is said to be full. Remember, students, that these conditions are very important. You may be asked some direct questions like, what is the full condition for a linear queue? So the full condition for a linear queue is a direct answer, direct concept that full condition, queue full condition is always rear is equal to, this is only for linear queue, right? Rear is equal to max minus 1. This is very important concept. And how can you identify that whether the queue is empty or not? This is also important. What is the condition for queue empty? Right? It is very simple that rear is equal to front is equal to minus 1. So this is the condition. If rear is equal to front is equal to -1, then that represents the empty queue condition. These two things are important. Please remember it. And now we will go for the deletion part. Now we are clear about this insertion part, and remember that whenever the queue is full in this condition, if you want to insert an element into the queue, then we call such condition as one particular condition, which we will discuss when you go for the actual operations part. Okay, that is called as, what is this thing called? In the stacks we have already discussed this terminology, which is nothing but overflow. If it is already full and if the user tries to insert one more element, then that is called as a overflow condition. Since if the queue is full and the user is trying to insert more elements, it is called as a queue overflow condition, right? So this is all about the insertion operation. Let me go with the deletion operation also. Let us discuss this deletion operation. Let me erase all these contents first. Just 1 minute. Right. Coming back to the discussion, and let me show how we implement the deletion operation. Deletion of queue. Right. So this is the present situation, where the queue is full. That is, front is pointing to 0 and rear is pointing to last element, that is max size -1. This one. If you want to delete an element, yeah, according to the definition of queues, the insertion is done from the rear end and deletion is done from the other end, which we call it as front end, right? So what you have to do is, the deletion operation consists of only one step, which is nothing but incrementing the front point, right? So in order to delete an element, you just increment the front pointer. What is the value of f right now? It is f is equal to 0. If you make it as f plus plus, 0 will become as 1. Therefore, what happens is, the f will be pointing to the first location, that is this location. Similarly, if you want to perform another deletion operation, you just make this f plus plus. Therefore, this f is having a value of 1 previously, and if you increment it, it becomes 2, right? So the f is pointing to second location of the array. Again, you can observe here that the deletion of elements in the queue is again a logical deletion. Okay. Why? Because A and B are still remaining inside the memory location. That means the values of A or B are retained in the memory. You are just incrementing the point. You are doing nothing for these elements. Therefore, it is a logical deletion only. Okay. So like that, you remove all these elements C, D, E. Okay. For example, you have removed this C. So D, it is pointing to D. Similarly, you have removed D, it is pointing to E. So if F is equal to R, that means both front and rear are locating to same position, then you can say that the queue is having one element. This is also important thing. How can you identify that the linear queue is having one element? If the f is equal to rare, that means f is equal to 4 and here also rare is equal to 4. In such case, we can say that the Q is having only one element. Now what happens? At this particular point, that means if the Q is having only one element where the condition f is equal to r is satisfying, when you perform a deletion operation, that means you just increment it, right? This does not happen. It's not incrementing f plus plus. If it consists of only one element, what you have to do is you have to bring back these pointers to the initial condition. What is the initial condition? F is equal to rare is equal to -1. Therefore, if this condition is true, that is, if front is equal to rare, that means it consists of only one element. Then you have to bring back all these pointers to the initial location, that is, you have to make f is equal to rare is equal to -1. This is very important point, right? So here we have discussed this concepts of how to insert the elements and how to delete the elements, right? In such case, what will happen? So this is an empty Q condition. You have to make it as f is equal to rare is equal to -1, right? So I have given the clear operations, clear-cut operations, how you perform the insertion and how you perform the deletion operation in a queue, right? And we have already discussed what is queue overflow. So what is queue underflow? There is another term called as queue underflow. It is very simple, that we have an empty queue like this, where f is equal to rare is equal to -1, and if the user tries to delete an element from this empty queue, then it is called as queue underflow. So the terminology is also important. We have discussed two terms, that is queue overflow and queue underflow. If it is a queue overflow, this condition arises whenever you want to insert an element into a complete queue or insert an element into the full queue. That is called as queue overflow. And if you want to delete an element from the empty queue, that is called as queue underflow. Okay. So if you are clear, we can move to this another slide. This is important, right? Another important slide, that is operations on queues. As we have discussed in the stacks concept, the insertion of an element in the stack is called as push operation, and the deletion of an element from the stack is called as a pop operation. Similarly, the queues operations are also having some secondary names. Maybe this is not the secondary name, this is the primary name, right? So the insertion of an element into the queue is called as an enqueue operation. Enqueue. You have to spell this, right? E-N-Q-U-E-U-E. So this enqueue operation consists of one data item. This data item is nothing but the element which you want to insert into the queue, right? So enqueue of A, which is nothing but you want to insert the element A into the queue. Where you are inserting, you have to insert at the rare part only. Why? Because the insertions in the queue always takes place at the rare part only. Okay. Similarly, the deletion of elements from the queue is called as dequeue. So from now onwards, don't call the insertion and deletion while you are dealing with the insertion and deletion of elements in the queue. You have to call it as enqueue and you have to call it as dequeue. Enqueue for insertion and dequeue for deletion. So enqueue is for insertion and dequeue is for deletion, right? And we have some supplementary functions like stack, that is what is the front element, which is given by front, and is empty. It gives a true or false value. If the queue is empty, it will give you a true value. If the queue is not empty, it will give a false value. So these are supplementary operations. The main operations are just NQ and DQ operations, right? And you can observe that the DQ operation does not consist of any element. It does not accept any parameters. You simply say DQ, while deleting the element from the front part of the queue. So this is what you have to remember, and from now onwards, don't call the insertion into the queue or don't call deletion from the queue. You have to call it as NQ or DQ, right? This is the convention. So this one we have already discussed, operations of queues. NQ operation is nothing but adding an item or adding a data element at the rear part of the queue. So if while enqueuing, you have to check the condition called as queue overflow. If the queue is full and the user wants to insert an element into the queue, then that condition is called as queue overflow. This we have discussed. And going to the next slide, DQ operation. DQ operation is nothing but removing an element from the front part of the queue. And the condition which you have to check while doing the DQ operation is nothing but queue underflow. It says that if the queue is empty and DQ element from the queue, then it is said to be a queue underflow, right? And as I discussed that FIFO, this queue is called as a FIFO data structure or Lilo data structure, but by convention make it as a FIFO only, and it is convenient also. Nobody asks you what is Lilo, right? Then you may be asked that FIFO, like what is if the data structure operates in a FIFO manner, like that you will be having some questions, right? And coming to what is this FIFO? For example, if you want to insert an element in this queue, A is inserted, right? So the first element that is inserted is A, and the second element that is inserted is B. Assume that it is B, and the third element that is inserted is C. Similarly, the fourth element or the last element is D, right? This is last and this is first. So this is first inserted elements. Therefore, at this point, the rear is pointing here and the front is pointing here. Whenever you want to delete or whenever you want to perform the DQ operation, what you will do? You will delete from the front part, right? So you make this front point to this location. So the first deleted element will be the A, which is nothing but the first inserted element. Therefore, it is called as FIFO data structure. Otherwise, you go in the other order, that is Lilo. Lilo means last in, last out. What is the last inserted element? It is the fourth element, that is D. After deleting B, you delete C. After deleting C, you delete D. Therefore, the last element that is to be deleted is nothing but D, which is the last element that is inserted into the queue. Therefore, these are called as Lilo or FIFO, and it is more convenient that you call it as a FIFO data structure, right? So